for northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WLAP TV16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Harch, Jack Ruland in SkyCam 16, meteorologist Tom Clark with his backyard forecast, and Tim Carlson's sports. This is Newswatch 16 Update.
Good evening. From fireworks to fanfare, a parade, picnic, and the president. Tomorrow's big birthday bash in Philadelphia should be something else.
It's a celebration for all Americans, the 200th anniversary of the signing of the U.S. Constitution. The party begins at 9 tomorrow morning with a 6-hour parade, including 30 floats, 1,500 white doves, and 20,000 marchers. Tonight, the city of Brotherly Love is putting on the finishing touches for the bicentennial celebration of the Constitution. President Reagan will be there. Then at noon, the Great American Picnic begins. It will end for 4 days. At 4 tomorrow afternoon, bells will ring all over the world for 200 seconds. Later, a black tie celebrity gala, and the finale, a half-hour of fireworks above the Delaware River. But again, the Star-Spangled Festival begins at 9 tomorrow morning with a parade through Philadelphia.
Tomorrow's big parade has a northeastern Pennsylvania flavor to it. Newswatch 16's Bob Cassantini tells us how bell ringers, including some from our area, are depending on a native of Wilkes-Barre for their distinctive sound.
Some of the best hand bell ringers in the U.S. have gathered about 40 miles north of Philadelphia to practice. They will be at the front of the parade playing the musical works written just for them. The bell ringers here include a group from Lackawanna County. What all have in common is their bells. A few feet from where the handbell ringers are practicing, more bells are being made. The Marmark Bell Company is sponsoring the ringers in the parade. The company was started in 1972 by Wilkes-Barre native Jake Malta, who moved to this area almost 40 years ago to design bells. In a day and age when many American products are being overrun by imports, just the opposite is true here.
And they swing them. That's the Doppler effect, is they stop them.
Ours is the ideal product, and we take great pleasure in telling people that we ship to Japan.
Modern-day handbells are an overwhelmingly American-made product. Yes, in parts of Europe, some are still made by hand.
We use modern-day equipment and produce bells of really better consistency and quality and by these high-volume methods. And we do, as you saw, we employ the art. The final tuning is done by hand here.
Marmark has 40 workers who make bells both large and small. The average size costs about $70. Tomorrow morning out in front of Independence Hall, a town choir will come out holding one of these replica colonial bells made here, calling America to come celebrate her Constitution. Bob Cassantini, Newswatch 16, from Stedville, Bucks County.
They celebrated the Constitution's birthday a day early in the nation's capital. The organizers did not want the Washington ceremony to take anything away from tomorrow's big show in Philadelphia. Representatives of the executive, judicial, and legislative branches of government were on the steps of the Capitol for the elaborate ceremony. And President Reagan led the crowd in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
They also celebrated the Constitution's birthday in other parts of the country today, including our area. In Pittsburgh, students and teachers at Seton Catholic High School joined in a Pledge of Allegiance and other ceremonies honoring the Constitution. At the Westside area of Press School in Loudoun County, students listened to former Iran hostage Bruce Goldman talk about the value of freedom. And in Pike County today, students from the Milford Elementary School formed a color guard with flags of the 13 original colonies. Ceremonies marking the bicentennial of the Constitution will go on for a few more years, up to the 200th anniversary of the Bill of Rights.
Thousands turned out in Los Angeles tonight to hear the Pope say Mass. Pope John Paul celebrated another outdoor Mass this evening at Dodger Stadium. During his second day in Los Angeles today, the pontiff said Catholics who think they can follow some of the church's teaching and then ignore others are mistaken. The Pope spoke out against abortion, divorce, and birth control. Congress is working late tonight, and lawmakers are apparently very close to working out a deal to revise the Jane Rudman balanced budget bill. A vote is expected tomorrow on an amendment that would put some teeth back into that bill by restoring automatic budget cuts. The Supreme Court struck down the automatic cuts in the original Graham-Rudman bill, saying that they were unconstitutional. Also tonight, leaders in the House tentatively agreed on a deal that would mean another $3.5 million in humanitarian aid for the country in Nicaragua. And the House passed a bill tonight that would put tighter controls, that is, on imported textiles, clothing, and shoes. But President Reagan is expected to veto that bill. Then,
The Army National Guard says it will build its $8 million helipad somewhere in northeastern Pennsylvania, but not at two of the proposed sites in our area. As Northeast reporter Melissa Sanders says, some people who were against the big helicopter from day one are relieved, but others are worried. A permanent National Guard helipad means hundreds of jobs and $7 million a year for the community it settles in. But it won't be here. The Worcester Stanton Airport is its largest temporary station, and it won't be here at the Worcester Airport in Lackawanna County. Perhaps the biggest reason the National Guard decided not to permanently base it either the Worcester Stanton Airport or the Statesville Airport is because of the kind of thing that happened in this building, the DuPont Municipal Hall, just 1 month ago. That's when DuPont residents protested the Guard's plan, saying it would be too noisy and too unsafe to have it connect base at the nearby airport. The same complaints were heard at the Statesville area meeting. The Guard says it will only go where it is wanted. Keystone Aero Fuel Services will lose 20% of its business when the Guard relocates.
I'm betwixt and between on whether or not the community wants development at the airport.
The director of the Worcester Stanton Airport says the community wanted will only lose itself because airport growth is a prime lure for industry.
So they want to know about the airport. They want to know what the capacities and the abilities of the airport are, and how that airport is going to be able to sustain their business and help them grow in their particular business.
The rest of the nobody wants to put up with the noise or the harassment or the flying over the company, or a company worrying about them crashing into the building, which is basically right over the runway.
Like other DuPont residents I spoke to are happy about the Guard's decision. They're residents who are just looking forward to the day the Guard makes its permanent move out of their area. Melissa Sanders is at 16 News in Town. Coming up, where does presidential candidate Joe Biden get the material for his speeches?
And later, just when you thought you've seen every kind of tribute possible to the Constitution,
Athletes know the knee injuries can end careers. They also know that prompt treatment by sports medicine specialists can return them to play. This is Mel Allen for the Knee Center, Northeast Pennsylvania sports facility for knee injuries. Professional, amateur, or weekend athletes with knee problems should consider the Knee Center. The Knee Center utilizes the latest techniques, including outpatient arthroscopic surgery. The Knee Center, just off I-81 below the Wyoming Valley Mall, Wilkes-Barre. When your knee hurts, call the Knee Center first. Furniture buyers tomorrow, 10 till 10, Jacob Forensic, the only Bassett furniture gallery in the area, plays host of Bassett Bargain Days USA, plus 30 other famous furniture factories, all 30, 40, 50% off.
Hi, I'm Bob Stillman, chairman of the board of Bassett Furniture Industries, and we welcome you to Bassett Bargain Days. Here is Jacob Forensic.
Free deliveries, no interest payments for January. The Bassett sale, plus 38 other factories. 10 till 10 tomorrow. Jacob Forensic, Leesburg, Dallas, Chinchilla, and Duryea.
If you're a parent, you know how frustrating it can be to try to convince your kids that drugs and alcohol are bad for them. And they feel you have to jump up and down to get their attention. Well, that may not be such a bad idea, as Newswatch 16's Valerie Devine found today at a school in Carbon County. It may look and sound like a pep rally. In reality, this is Jeff Foxton's own unique way of getting students here at the Pampa Valley Middle School Assembly to sit up and take notice.
Do you love your parents? Well, if you love somebody, ladies and gentlemen, you don't hate people you love. See, I don't see a lot of people go around smoking music and breathing and smoking something and crap, but they never thought about something to do well if you will do it.
Foxton calls himself a drug and alcohol educator. He makes his living traveling around the Northeast talking to people about drug and alcohol abuse. What makes him a specialist in the field is the fact that he does more than just talk.
Children have never lived without television. They don't know what it is without television, and that constantly being entertained. because that's what it takes to get their attention, entertainment.
For the students, all of the entertainment seemed to pay off.
I like this because it's different from what everybody else is coming in first. And it's always pretty good the way we have like a comedy kid that
He didn't just like the other team, like have fun with us and made social.
all jokes aside, Dr. knows he can't reach everyone, but he did accomplish his goal.
I started tears, and I started look, and I heard people shake my hand for thank you. So I know I got at least one.
Valerie Devine, Newswatch 16, Lansford.
The presidential campaign of Scranton native Joseph Biden is running into some problems. The Democrat from Delaware will hold a news conference tomorrow to answer charges that he's been stealing phrases from the speeches of other politicians. For example, this TV commercial for British candidate Neil Kinnock.
The first Kinnock in a 1,000 generations to be able to get to university.
Instead of taking it, that's me over here. Why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
They then describe why their ancestors could not go to school.
There is no platform upon which they could stand.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
The controversy hit the Biden campaign just when his supporters were hoping he would cash in on publicity during the board hearings in Washington.
Supreme Court nominee Robert Bork will defend his view of free speech tomorrow at his confirmation hearings in Washington.
The board hearings is our first story tonight as we take you around the world in a minute. Today, Judge Bork told senators he did not violate the law in 1973 when he fired Watergate prosecutor Archibald Cox.
Soviet Foreign Minister Shevardnadze and Secretary of State Schultz are still talking arms control, and it was signed today that the two men are making progress. USS Guadalcanal returned to the Persian Gulf today while fighting between Iran and Iraq has picked up again.
In the Philippines, Vice President Salvador Laurel has resigned from President Aquino's cabinet, saying not enough is being done to stop communist rebels. Representatives of 50 nations meeting in Canada have signed an agreement to protect the ozone layer in the Earth's atmosphere. They've agreed to limit chemicals that damage the Earth's protective layer.
Today was the first day of school for the youngest son of Prince Charles and Lady Diana. Little Prince Harry showed up to class with his older brother, Prince William. Finally, Liza Minnelli is promoting a new line of cologne made by the Estee Lauder Company. And that's the world in a minute.
Next, a forecast none of us want to hear from meteorologist Tom Clark.
That's about it.
We've got 4 little word rain is in there again, right?
No, I'm going to be putting jail here before too long. More rain in the forecast and some heavy rain on the radar tonight moving through. We'll take a close look at that radar when we come back. You're watching Newswatch 16 Update on WNEP TV, and we're proud to serve Hop Bottom and all of Schuylkill County.
Laurel Run Home's Fall Sale Spectacular. Right now, save thousands on the home of your dreams. Cozy singles, spacious doubles, luxurious modulars, even the all-new triple wide. During this sale, Laurel Run Homes will give you a gold certificate worth $1,000. Applied directly to the sale price, or toward things like washers, dryers, or dishwashers. It's your choice and your savings. Laurel Run Homes. 3 big locations to save you money. Guadalupe, Dalton, and Worcester. Hurry, the sale ends soon.
It's 2-time sale days at IGA, and we've cut the prices on Maxwell House coffee. 1-pound package at $1.69 with 2 times. Plus keep baby happy with Huggy disposable diapers, $9.69 a box. And treat the family to Del Monte vegetables, 2 cans for 89 cents. During 2-time sale days, we've cut the prices, so you can cut the coupons. And
personal reports of the 2 people sitting here. Boy, did it come down tonight about 8:15 between Lackawanna and Luzerne County time.
Yes, so we have it on the radar, Nolan, on a loop coming up. We had 3/4 of an inch of rain in our backyard so far tonight, and it's still coming down. Beginning in Huntsville, the Back Mountain area of Luzerne County, Alan Lonsbury tells me he had a half-inch of rain tonight. From far this morning, it's still raining and 67 degrees. Glen Englewood in Woolrich tells me 65, 1,500 from the gauge, and a dense fog with light rain. And Coffee Dippery in Beaver Springs reports 2/10 of an inch today, 68 degrees, and some sprinkles. For those of you who look at the Susquehanna Sunday, it is flowing very well this evening.
67 degrees out back, humidity 100%. The wind is calm, the barometer falling from 29.94. 77 and 53 are rain here today. 37 degrees. The record low set back in 1964. Putting the radar into motion, Luzerne County and Lackawanna County just about fill your screen. In red, the heavy rain. This is between 8 and 9:30 this evening. And that rain moving off from west to east, very heavy in some spots, out of the back mountain. And checking the live scan now. This is the 25-mile sweep, the same background map. A band of heavy showers now showing up in southern Luzerne County. You folks watching from Mountaintop, Briarbrook, and Walden Park, you just had a heavy shower, we know that. And now the heavy rain is heading towards the Whitehaven area of Luzerne County. And it looks like it just might clip Hazleton. Elsewhere, some light rain forming and falling in the area. Expanding the view to the 75-mile span now. And you can see some patches of light rain, mostly concentrated in our area, although there is some heavier rain now moving into the Northampton County area and southern Monroe County. Not much out to the west, though, at this hour. Here's the cloud photograph just in. A storm system over Iowa, some severe thunderstorms over Illinois tonight. Right about there. Now, we have a couple of storms to talk about. This one up over Montana is now forming. It's going to act as a kicker to get this storm to move through on Friday with more rain. And then I think this system will get here over the weekend with, you guessed it, more rain. 95, a record high today in Orlando, Florida. For tomorrow, not too good. Temperatures will be in the 70s, but there will be some showers from time to time. And the wind will be from the southeast. Sunrise time tomorrow morning is at 6:45. And sunset tomorrow at 7:10. So overnight tonight, there will be some dense fog, and the rain showers will continue. Heavy in some spots, especially south and east of the Westbury Stanton area for the next couple of hours. 64 tonight, 12. Tomorrow, about 72 degrees, showers, some drizzle. I think we'll have a few hours without rain tomorrow. It's sunny constellation, but it's going to stay cloudy. And then tomorrow night into Friday, more rain coming in as that storm from Iowa bears down on Pennsylvania. And then over the weekend, more rain. I'm going to plan a picnic for next weekend. It can't rain 4 weekends in a row. This will be 5, Nolan.
This will be 5?
Oh, well.
Thanks, Tom.
I was trying to forget that. Coming up, Tim Carlson on the Sports Watch with the possibility of a strike in the NFL getting stronger.
West tennis race is getting hotter, including the next right season against Montreal.
There is a higher intelligence coming to share a wealth of knowledge and power. Follow your instincts and welcome them. They are known as Minolta Zoom copiers. They transform complex functions into child's play and have remarkable endurance. Bring higher intelligence to your life. See the complete line of Minolta copiers at Top Coffee. Call 1-800-982-4021.
Nothing could ruin a spectacular day like this. Should I go for a 7 now? There are times when only one beer will do. Smooth, cold age, Genesis.
Boy, those nuts are really hanging in.
Well, at least one of your team's doing well.
Get
you up again, Ted. I love to do that. The Mets up in my tail today, and you to get the Expos off their back. The Spurs just gave it a half behind the Mets, having a face right good. And Charlie Lee, starting for the first time in 3 years for the Expos, coming off surgery, Wild pitches home the first run, and it's 1-0 Mets. Then he gives up the tater to Darryl Strawberry. I don't know if they found this one at Exhibition Stadium. His 36th of the year, and it's 3-0 Mets. Next time up, Darryl gets punched in the back. He goes to X-rays because of bruised ribs, but he's okay apparently. Blake didn't really have the curve working, and the Mets roll tonight. Look at the doctor there. Well, you got him. 10-0 the final rank. The doc is 14-6. The Pittsburgh, the Cardinals trying to stay a game and a half in front of the Mets. The Cards up 2-1 in the second. Mike Diaz just went out for the Pirates. Number 14 of the year to make it 2-1. St. Louis with a 4-run third. Tony Pena with a double right here to score John Morris in a 6-1 Cardinals. Diaz with another solo shot for the Bucks. His 15th for the Cards won at 8-5. At Philly, the Cubs at the vet, and the Cubs built a 4-1 lead. The final run scoring on the Leon Durham double right here, down into the corner. Ryan Sandberg comes around to score, and the Cubs look like they're in business, but the Phils scored 7 runs in the 7th inning, 2 right here on the Mike Schmidt double off the box seat railing there. Milt Thompson and Von Hayes scores, and the Phils winning 8-5. NL scoreboard now. Mets over Montreal 10-zip, so they're still a game and a half back of St. Louis as the Cards win 8-5. Phillies over the Cubs 8-5. San Francisco beat Houston 7-1 this afternoon, and tonight in the 5th, San Diego beats Atlanta 2-zip. Don't forget the Yanks trying to catch Detroit and Toronto. They're just trying to stay in 3rd place in front of Milwaukee. The Brewers and Yanks head-to-head tonight. Score tied 2-2 in the 5th inning right here, and Bobby Meacham, one of his rare homers, but he really gets a hold of it, number 5 of the year, to make it 3-2 Yanks. Next inning, Don Mattingly right here, and man, this guy's got a stroke. I love to watch him hit. Number 26 of the year, that made it 4-2 Yanks. The Brewers went back in front of the 7th. Glenn Braggs right here almost gets it out. He goes for a triple. Scores Robin Rat with a go-ahead run in Milwaukee. Held on to win it over the Yanks 5-4. Tonight, the Brewers move into 3rd place ahead of the Yanks. Let's go to the scoreboard. Milwaukee over the Yanks 5-4. It's Detroit leading Boston 4-1 in the 8th. Toronto shut out Baltimore 7-0, and the Jays at least stay in 1st. Seattle over Cleveland 5-3. Out on the coast, or out in the Midwest now, Chicago leading Minnesota 13-9. Kansas City in front of California, or California in front of KC 4-3 in the 8th. And a final just in Texas beat Oakland 4-1. Things getting bad again on the NFL labor front. The chief negotiator for the owners says he can't believe yesterday's union's proposal calling for a liberalized free agency and a modified drug program. Jack Nolan also thinks the strike check next Tuesday by the players a good possibility. If there's a strike, it'll be the second by the NFL players in 6 years, and if it happens, we'll all get to bed earlier on Monday nights and maybe spend more time with the wife and kids on Sunday. Fishing game forecast for tomorrow. I'll be back at 5 with more. They're going to strike. We're talking about that now.
Okay, thank you. So we'll have a musical tribute to the Constitution. That's a long way from the Star-Spangled Banner.
That personal lottery number, the daily number, is 095, and the 6 or 7 numbers, 14, 19, 40, 48, 51, 57, 59, 64, 65, 70, 72. We'll be right back.
When America was young, beer was something special. Brewed in small batches by small brewers all across the land. Only one remains. Yuengling. That's right. 5 generations of the Yuengling family have been helping us quench our thirst since 1829. What a tradition. What a great beer. America's oldest is still America's best. Yuengling.
Everybody, now you can get a Big Mac at McDonald's for an incredible low 99 cents. Don't make it a Big Mac tonight.
Finally tonight, we've told you about the ceremonies, parades, and speeches marking the 200th anniversary of our U.S. Constitution.
Well, there's just one more tribute we'd like you to hear. It was written by a 6th grade class in Kansas, one of the documents they hold dear. And that about wraps things up.
For the team, thanks for being with us.
Good, man.